All right, let's get this underway, shall we? Um, Man, not sure what we're doing exactly here. I don't really see anyone really in. So hey, we're just gonna get this ball rolling. I was thinking about in addition to kind of chatting with everyone, just like you know diving into a good narrative game or something and comment on it, break it down as we go. Um, hey, let's look at taking a poll of everyone who was here, but it doesn't look like we have anyone here currently. So, yeah, what can you do? In that case, you know what? I think I'm gonna just uh, just get to it. Playing on the old Xbox, huh? Uh, I was considering a Jade Empire or Knights of the Old Republic, but we are definitely going to go with some knights. All right. For some reason, I have a hard time, getting my audio settings to work right. So for some reason, can't really hear the game. But I played it so many times that I don't even have to hear it. Here we go. Sorry. Now we should be able to hear it. Cool. Okay. I remember the first time I played this, it was as a scout. Um, which to this day, I definitely feel like is kind of the best way to go. Soldier, which is to me, was kind of really boring. Um, Combat was really easy, and there's no real skills to mess with. Yeah. And then obviously skill or scoundrel, as we all know, is the hardest one. Let me check something out really quickly. Okay. Okay, now let's check out stuff. Okay. We're gonna go with scout. I mean, come on. Yeah, you definitely have to. I know that. Hey, everyone's really high on Mullet Man. He's the best for some reason. But my first time was this dude. I don't know. I felt like no one on here really looks a ton like me, only having like what maybe like a dozen options. But this dude, I always felt like at the time especially he looked the most like me out of the possibilities. So we're gonna go with that guy. Um, I'm a lot more. Well, especially in a post Baldur's Gate 3 world, I have more of a grasp on the principles of D&D and the rules like this. At the time I first played this, I was like, I have no idea what any of this is. I assume low numbers are bad, so we're gonna make sure modifiers are all like zeroed out. Um, but that's not necessarily, I think, the best way to do it. I guess. You know what? Since nobody's in here, I'm going to check something out. I don't know. My bitrate might not be quite up to snuff, but or maybe a little bit low. But I'm just gonna just truck along here, honestly. All right, cool. Honestly, I was a little nervous starting this, but I don't see any reason why it would be. You know, it's going pretty swimmingly right now. Okay, right on. So, anyway, getting right to it. I've talked about this game before on the channel. I did a two-parter on it. How, you know, it really is a master class in character and lore and storytelling and all that. Like, you really can't beat it. So I figure let's just dive into it, you know, a little bit deeper and see, like, gosh, in a post-sequel trilogy world, how the storytelling techniques of this game compare to, like, you know, kind of modern Lucasfilm and how it goes about it. Like, it really, like, it pulls from A New Hope in a lot of ways, especially starting out. But it doesn't feel derivative somehow. Like, how does this game pull off kind of the same things that people see as sins that The Force Awakens committed, but it doesn't get hit with that label of being derivative? Alright. Alright, now that we're alone again, I'm gonna check something out. Hopefully changing that bit rate definitely helps. Alright. 6,800. That's what we're at now. Hopefully that gets everything to kind of sort it out. Okay. Right on. Maybe. Sweet. Okay, let's just blow past this. We need to get going on this story stuff. You know, that's why we're here. Done. Sorry, dubs. Gale. Gale sounds great. Okay. Let's skip this because, you know, the whole YouTube and not liking copyrighted music stuff. Skip.
We've been ambushed by a Sith battle fleet. The Endar Spire is under attack. Hurry up, we don't have much time. I'm Trask Ulgo, ensign with the Republic fleet.
I feel like this is an art that we've left behind to our detriment of just really having ham-fisted exposition. Like, hey, I'm gonna entirely introduce myself even though you should know who I am. We're just going to pretend there's no way you know who I am.
Bastille is the commanding officer on the Endar Spire. Well, not an officer, really, but she's the one in charge of this mission. One of our primary duties is to guarantee her survival in the event of an enemy attack. You swore an oath just like everyone else on this mission. Now it's time to make good on that oath.
I kind of mentioned before that, you know, this game commits a lot of the same sins. Well, maybe not sins, but a lot of the same techniques that The Force Awakens committed, right? Like, obviously, this first sequence, this intro sequence, it does a lot of the same things that A New Hope does. Like, you've got the space battle, and hey, we have this MacGuffin that, you know, we have to track down, and even down to the whole, um, you know, escape pod thing. But for some reason, Force Awakens gets labeled with, you know, like, ah, oh, it's derivative, it's a copy, it's boring, like, why is this a masterpiece and that is not?
Okay,
I think the devil truly is in the details and is everything behind those decisions. You know, we're going to see a lot more of kind of what I mean as we get going here. Okay. I'm going to try to not talk as much during dialogue and stuff. So that we can get more of that sweet, sweet story stuff. Oh, that's right. I need to get him to do it.
Now that the door's open, you better take the lead again.
Indigo, hey, how's it going? How's it going, man? Good to see you. Thanks for joining. It's not crowded here, as you can see, so thanks for hanging out.
We can't hold out long against their firepower. All hands to the bridge.
That was Karth contacting us on our portable communicators. He's one of the Republic's best pilots. He's seen more combat than the rest of the Endar Spire's crew put together. If he says things are bad, you better believe it. We have to get to the bridge to help defend Bastila. There's a map of the Endar Spire and a copy of Karth's message in your electronic journal, just in case we get separated.
Alright, cool. You know what? Just so I don't miss any more chats, I'm going to take a beat and just really kind of just tweak my OBS for a second. I was a little worried that I might have missed a little slow on the draw there. All right. Okay, cool. Onward.
That door's locked, and I don't have the codes to open it. You'll have to use your security skill on it if we want to get past. These Sith must be the advanced boarding party for the Republic! I've got a feeling that won't be our last battle with the Sith. Good thing we have med packs to heal our wounds. It might be a good idea to use one now before our next battle.
Yes?
Oh, thanks, Indigo. That's really awesome. Yeah, I guess I'm getting steadily more activity on the channel. Obviously, I'm trying out something new with the live stream thing. I don't imagine it's going to be like a crazy regular feature like every week or nothing. But hey, it's a new format that I want to try out. Indigo, hey. I've been meaning to ask on this live stream. Kind of wanted to get a feel for what people have been watching. What have you been watching? Let's chat.
It's Dark Jedi! This fight is too much for us. We better stay back. All we do is get in the way.
Also, thank you for actually, kind of watching the stuff on the channel. It's not a huge channel by any means, obviously, but some videos have done pretty well, and others kind of died on the vine. So thanks for all the support. By the way, if there's any audio issues or something is too loud or too quiet, let me know. Oh yeah, the members only stuff. Yeah, that's right now. That's more of an archive, really. Maybe at some point I'll make it more of a robust playlist of stuff. But yeah, but for now, you definitely don't need to see that.
You better equip your melee weapon. There isn't much room on the bridge, and it's suicide to use a blaster in close quarters. I should equip a melee weapon too. Either that, or I'll have to stay back and use my blaster.
I saw. Well, what have you been? Even outside of the channel, what have you been watching lately? Like I watched Superman the other day. I don't know if you've seen that. I've seen. I'll be honest. I don't get out to the theater nearly as much as I used to, having a kid and stuff. But I got to see 28 Years Later recently, and then Superman. I feel like both surprised me in very interesting ways. Where like 28 years later, I was like, in the moment, it's like amazing, it's perfect, it's doing everything great. And then the more I thought about it, I was like, it's kind of weak. I don't want to get into spoilers if you're not seeing it. Superman, though, you know what? Like beat to beat, I was like, okay, it's not bad. Maybe, as much as I love James Gunn, maybe it's like one of his weaker things. But then the more I thought about that, I was like, oh gosh, this movie is amazing. Definitely recommend it. I know you said you haven't seen it yet. Are you a fan of DC stuff? Or I guess superheroes in general? I know there's a bit of fatigue going on. I'm actually gonna change my. I'm gonna invest in. I'll just invest in dueling. Cool. It's so weird going back to like older RPGs after having gone through like Baldur's Gate 3 like 1.5 times. But still, it's a testament to this game. I feel like where like actually, it is still pretty engaging. Like it's very RPG-ish.
Damn, another Dark Jedi. I'll try to hold him off.
Mike, good to see ya. Hello. Good to see you, my friend. How have you been? Mike, what about you? We were kind of talking about stuff we've seen lately. Have you seen Superman yet? Oh, Mike, you're not late. No, thanks for being here, my friend. Literally, I started the
This is
stream and there
Cargo
was
Master,
nobody
your
here,
personal
so
communicator.
I
I'm
was
tracking your
about to
position
eat
through
my
the Endar
feelings. So
Spire's life
thanks for
support
being here.
systems. Basilisk escape pod is away. You're the last surviving crew member on the Endar Spire. Now, I can't wait for you much longer. You have to get to the escape pods.
I also talked a little bit about. Oh, sorry, 1 second. Indigo, you saw a lot of this CW stuff back in the day. There was some good stuff. Superman 78, your first DC film, right on. Larry Boy, I've never heard of Larry Boy, I don't think. Indigo, give me a rundown on Larry Boy. And Mike, yeah, you know what? I'm usually that guy who goes to see films weeks and weeks after they come out. It was definitely a really kind of an odd happenstance that I was able to see Superman the week it came out. You know what? I don't know if it's just me, but you know, it's ever since COVID. I know everyone says this, but ever since COVID, like going to the theater has been different. And I don't know if it's the people, but or what I'm taking into it. But man, it always seems like there's like one guy who just talks at a full volume the whole time, and he's on his phone, and I don't know, just smells like Pete himself. Like, I'm not into it. So the movie has to be really, really, or I have to really want to see it in order to actually go to the theater to see something. Indigo, I have heard of VeggieTales. In fact, we had one tape of it for some reason when I was a kid. It was like the David and Goliath story, and yeah, it was, I don't know why. Oh, Mike, I have not seen Thunderbolts still yet. Is that actually good? I have heard that it's surprisingly good, but is it like good for like modern MCU, or is it actually good? Because if it's actually good, then I'll give it a shot. Especially after having watched all of the Infinity Saga recently, which I'm working on the last video for that whole thing. Gosh, it just takes forever watching all those films, but yeah. Depends on who you are. Like, yeah, I mean, I guess that makes sense for any film. It depends on what you're looking for, if it's good or not. Good but not great. A couple of good action sequences. Oh, need to have seen Black Widow first for maximum effect? That's a shame, because, jeez. I mean, like, I'll go into it in more detail in my video, but gosh, that was a hard one to get through. Black Widow. I think I split that up into, like, 3 sessions. Yeah, Indigo, I feel like I've, especially kind of in recent years, definitely drawn to darker, more complicated characters too. That is pretty cool that Thunderbolts kind of scratches that itch. You know, like it's kind of old hat that Marvel like defangs a lot of its characters, and ones that are supposed to be dark and bleh are just like telling jokes and stuff. But right on. Oh, you didn't mind Black Widow? Except when she unsevers her facial... You know, I thought that was a clever... That was a clever, beat. Okay, a good way to get around that. What I thought was super lame was how it just... It makes sure that you understand what it's doing. It's not just that, but a lot of Black Widow, the movie, like, doesn't leave room for you to figure things out. It perfectly explains everything that's happening, why characters do what they do. Like, oh, did you get that? She did this because of that. Whereas they did not have to put that hat on a hat and say, oh, Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, if she had compressed the nerve, yeah. Hmm. I guess you're right. Cutting a nerve is not like it won't grow back, right? So does that mean like Black Widow just doesn't have a sense of smell after that? Like, I would love for like that to be like a little thing they mention like later down the line. It's just like I can't smell it. COVID does not change anything for me. Oh, by the way, I I'm sure I could figure it out, but not currently able to hear the game volume. Like I have the audio bars, which I'm working with, but if the game's too loud or my mic is too soft, just let me know.
One of the Republic soldiers from the Endar Spire. I was with you on the escape pod.
You know, I'm really tempted to do like a punch-up video for Black Widow. Like when I was watching it, I was thinking like, man, this could be so much better.
I'm not surprised. You took a serious
Especially going
look
with
at
the
it.
whole
Probably
espionage
having all kinds of
spy thing.
strange dreams.
Gosh, there's so much there, especially if you're going for like a James Bond send-up. Like Black Panther is more of a James Bond film than Black Widow is, which I'm definitely going into in more depth in my video.
Terrace. We were banged up pretty bad when our escape pod crashed, but luckily I wasn't seriously hurt. I was able to drag you away from our crash site in all the confusion, and I stumbled into this abandoned apartment. But Sith arrived on the scene.
Yeah, Mike, like it at this point it almost feels like it's on purpose
You don't have to thank
that
me. I've never
Hollywood
abandoned anyone
gets
on a mission.
science
I'm
wrong.
about to start now.
Like it's an inside joke.
I'm gonna need your help. Terrace is under
Although,
fire.
you know what, speaking of The Martian, I read Project Hail Mary, which is from the same author.
I saw on your service records that you
That
understand remarkably
I'm so glad I finished that before the trailer for the movie came out.
but it should
I don't know
get
if you've
handled
read it or seen the trailer yet.
There is no way the
That book was
Republic
awesome.
can get anyone's
I
access
am
to
fully
If we're gonna
expecting
find
the
Vassal
movie
and
to
get
make
off this planet,
similar
we can't
mistakes and
rely on
whatever
anybody but ourselves.
in the movie, but yeah, I recommend the book. Yeah, seeing the MCU mostly out of order. Do you mean like Indigo that like you watched it in release order, or like you watched it kind of in a jumbled up mess after the fact? Black Widow was close to being so much better. I kind of agree. That's kind of the point of my punch-up videos. Like, dare I say, most movies have the bones to be really, really, really awesome. And what's frustrating to me is like so many of them just don't hit that height, and it's very like the problems are on the page. And that's kind of the point of those videos. Is like, usually you have to just tweak things here or there, and it's so much more awesome. Black Panther, predictable. Yeah. I mean, like, yeah, it was. Although I feel like most MCU films are predictable. I'm kind of trying to think of any that aren't, frankly. You know what? I kind of think the most unpredictable one might have been Infinity War. I don't know if you can think of any other ones.
And make our enemies lose their will to fight. Often that's all it takes to tip the balance in a battle. Of course, there are
Oh,
limits
thanks,
to what
Mike.
she can do.
Yeah, I
From what
try,
understand, her
like,
ability requires
you know,
great
before I made the
concentration
channel,
and focus to
I
maintain her
would watch a
balance.
lot of like
You're not gonna
Cinema
end up fighting
Sins
so
or
fast, you never get a
channels
chance to
kind
use
of
your balance.
inspired by that,
Like
and it
us,
was just kind of a
buried
lot of
alive.
negativity, and like anyone can throw shade, right? It doesn't take a genius to say, hey, this sucks, and kind of whine and moan about things that don't matter. And I kind of want it to be a little more constructive, actually bring something to the table, and like, you know, sometimes maybe I'm more effective than other times. But yeah, but thanks for seeing that. Yeah, that is what I'm trying to do. Oh yeah, I guess if you had read the comics before the movie, before Infinity War, you would know like, oh yeah, well Thanos is gonna snap, and then everyone's gonna go bye bye. Endgame, you know what's funny? Endgame, I enjoyed a lot more on this viewing, because before this, before watching it for my video, I'd only seen it once in theaters, and I thought it was good. I thought it was a lot of fan service, and I liked Infinity War a ton more. But watching Endgame again for this video, like, I'm like, this is pretty amazing. I still might think that Infinity War is my preference out of the two, but Endgame is less surf or shallow fan service than I initially thought. Like, watching all of the MCU films in chronological order, you kind of appreciate, or maybe at least see more, how a lot of things pay off in Endgame.
Pods crashing down into the Undercity. It's probably a good place to start. But the Undercity's a dangerous place. We don't want to go there unprepared, and it won't do Bastila any good if we go and get ourselves killed.
Started watching it in 2014. You can recall Cap 1 and 2. Oh, okay, well, just that off the bat is difficult. Avengers, Thor 1 and 2, Avengers 2, Ant-Man, Iron Man, and Cap 3, Doctor Strange. That was all I... So you had... That's the order you watched those in?
I'll tell you whatever I... Good idea. We can use this abandoned apartment as a base.
Because if that's the order you watch those in, yeah, I could definitely see, like, woo, that's a lot of confusion. But that's a very unique perspective on the MCU.
Can wipe away your memories and destroy your very identity. But I figure if we don't do anything stupid, we should be okay. I mean, after all, they're
Wow,
Bastila,
wow,
not a
crazy.
couple of grunts like us.
I almost want to do a video about that, like how that viewing order would change your perspective on the saga. Only thing you didn't like about Endgame is that it wasn't, or you weren't expecting them to go multiversal. Yeah. You know, it's easy to think like, oh, the problems with the multiverse thing came later, like with the Loki show. But yeah, the seeds of that were definitely planted in Endgame. I would have been fine had they kind of confined the multiverse thing to that film. Like, oh, it's not technically time travel. It's like, whatever. But man, it got out of hand really fast. Mari, hey. Yeah, superhero fatigue is definitely a thing, with good reason. I'm behind. I'm behind too. Endgame for sure, I think, is the most common place that people hopped off. I've seen a couple things in the multiverse saga, but by and large, after Endgame, I was pretty checked out. I still did not even see Far From Home. And I know Kevin Feige and all them say that's the end of the Infinity Saga, but man, come on, it's Endgame. Yeah, it is almost too stressful to start watching now because not just the movies, but then they throw shows at you, entire seasons you have to watch. And then it gets complicated because, oh, you have to watch like Loki season 1, and then, you know, like, I don't know, Shang-Chi, and then Loki season 2. Like, you can't just kind of go straight. It's a lot harder, and I think Marvel really took advantage of our attention. Like, they should have waited a good at least 3 years after Endgame. Like, do the Thanos thing. They've done the thing. They should just sit back, enjoy it. They would have been kings for years. But then they kind of gambled it away. Right away. And now we just can't be bothered. Started watching the MCU closer to chronological order whenever you were feeling like at the time. Yeah, right on. Right on. Loki is weird. The first season, I agree, is ridiculous. I didn't even see the second season. New people in charge, excuse us while we make this impossibly interesting and profound. I don't even know if they could have succeeded. I did not even finish season 1, to be honest. in large part because I got so fed up with the volume, like that not CGI but the set that they use in the Mandalorian. Once you pick out the volume, you can't unsee it, and so you see it in everything. And so many of their shows on Disney Plus, from Mandalorian to Loki and stuff, had so many. They were set in such like flat, barren wastelands essentially, and I think that's why Tatooine is so popular on the Mandalorian. It's easy to do with the volume. And once I just noticed it, I was like, I'm not doing this anymore. Like, in general, the production value on Loki bugged me a lot. It seemed like it was really, really low. I just couldn't keep up with it. Far From Home was the first real movie of the next phase after Endgame. Yeah, I would agree. What came before that? Honestly, I can't remember. Far From Home is too much of a piece of... Yeah, probably underwhelming, I imagine. I keep forgetting that Far From Home exists. Or no. Yeah, I keep forgetting that Far From Home exists. And I think that it should be considered like the first film of the new phase. Which makes sense. Like, Iron Man, at least in release order, right, was the first film of the Infinity Saga. It makes sense to me that Far From Home, Iron Man's protege struggling with his death, is the first film of the new saga.
Just one of Darvik's men who can't keep his hands to himself.
All
he got for his trouble was a
I don't know
nasty
about
scar on
y'all,
my
but...
vibroblade.
Oh, did you think that No Way Home was underwhelming too? Because I thought so. I thought so, Mike. I first watched No Way Home, and God, dude, I hated it. I definitely was in the minority. I felt crazy because, I don't know. I watched Last Jedi, loved it. And then I saw that everyone hated it. And I watched No Way Home, hated it. And I saw that everyone loved it. I think the problem is me, to be honest.
I don't think so. I can't afford to trust anybody right now. Please,
Indigo, you saw Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. and Agent Carter. I kind of, part of me wants to go back and incorporate those maybe at some point into
I don't much like
my viewing order.
My home.
How did Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D.? Did it end pretty good? I started it, didn't finish it. Oh gosh, kind of the same with Agent Carter. Like, I like the idea of it, but, I think at the time I just kind of fell off because I was doing other things. But Agent Carter, like Peggy... I think if it happened later, it would have been a really good Disney Plus show. But I don't think ABC was able to keep it going. Season 2 of Loki makes Season 1 worth watching. Hey, that, you know what? I kind of want to test that. Unless this is just a ploy to get me to waste my time. Although I kind of have heard that Season 2 was surprisingly good. Yeah, Indigo, the volume was great for about 2 years. Frankly, that's kind of a lot of things. Like, that could be said for a lot of things that Disney Plus did. Like, oh, Mandalorian was good for 2 years. Stuff on Disney Plus from Marvel was good for, like, 2 years. And then it gets overdone a ton. You know what did the volume well? Was the Batman. They did it so well that I didn't even know they did the volume on that. Like, a ton of that movie is done on the volume. And I think, like, in a technology, if you do it well and you're restrained and you're disciplined about it, just like with CGI, it can bolster your film rather than if you use it as a crutch, which I think a lot of Disney shows use the volume as a crutch to cut costs and whatever. Like, you saw that with, like, the Kenobi show. That was such a waste of potential. I was so disappointed. No Way Home took every good idea they could have generated for Spider-Man and squandered it. No kidding. Yeah, I love The Last Jedi too. Yeah. I think it is my favorite Star Wars movie as well, and I feel like I need to run and hide after I say that because they will destroy you over it. My old favorite, probably was Revenge of the Sith. That may have something to do with just when I watched it, frankly. But yeah, Last Jedi. It's funny because the sequel trilogy is my least favorite trilogy, but it happens to have my most favorite film.
Yes, what's on your mind?
Season 5 was supposed to be the end until it got renewed for two more half seasons. Like, how does that work? Season 5 did wrap it up pretty well, though. Okay, so if I watch... I assume you mean Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. So if I watch Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., you think just stop at the end of Season 5?
Me? Well, I've been a star pilot for the Republic.
It's bonkers, the things that networks and all the bigwigs do to TV shows. Like, when a show should end, they keep it going until it sucks. And then if a show definitely has to keep going, that's when they give it like one season and then not a wrap up. I feel like that's the Netflix model.
It shouldn't be my fault. I did everything I could.
Um,
Followed my orders and did my duty.
Quick tangent to the movie or to the game we're playing. I feel like a big strength of this, as you can see, is the character work. It's not the most like subtle work, but you look at the difference between this and like BioWare's latest game, Dragon Age Veilguard, night and day. These characters actually feel real and three-dimensional. They have wants and needs that they don't telegraph to you, and it's more than just like their occupation that gives them their value. And I think that's part of also why Knights of the Old Republic can do a lot of the same things that Force Awakens did, but doesn't get labeled as a crime or uninspired like the Force Awakens did. Anyway, not kidding about Loki Season 2. You binge watched all seven Star Wars films before seeing Last Jedi. Good way to go. Expectations were created going into Last Jedi. Is that because of The Force Awakens? Yeah, I left the movie theater thinking they made a good Star Wars movie too. You know what gets me? Is a lot of folks on Reddit will say, okay, Last Jedi, it was a good movie, it just wasn't a good Star Wars movie, which is crazy to me, because that implies that the good Star Wars movies are they're only good because they're Star Wars. So they're crap movies. Like, why are you watching bad films, right? That just doesn't make sense to me. Like, if it's a good movie, it's a good movie. It just happens to be... Maybe you should kind of recalibrate your definition of what a good Star Wars movie is. That's what I appreciated about Rian Johnson. I don't think he's subversive necessarily. He just likes possibility and seeing what we could do, Anyway, that's just me. Oh yeah, Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. was on ABC, so they had huge seasons by our standards, huh? 22 episodes each. 6 and 7 were 13 episodes. It's funny, 13 episode seasons are still long in our day and age. Like, you look at like Stranger Things, like what, 5 episodes a season every 5 years. And then whereas back in the day we were like, I don't know, kind of spoiled. 22 episodes, 22 hour-long drama, kind of high production value episodes every year. Finally liked The Force Awakens after telling yourself, don't think of this as a Star Wars movie. Just appreciate for the movie it is. Yeah, I could stand to apply that logic to The Rise of Skywalker, frankly. I mean, not to say it would be a good movie if it wasn't a Star Wars movie, but I think that could help it maybe that much more. if I saw it as just kind of a standalone thing rather than just capstone to this big old saga. Which I feel like, you know, some folks, whether it's the filmmakers or kind of fans of the movie, kind of excusing it, like, well, how were they going to satisfyingly pay off this big old saga in one movie? It can't be done, you know. Well, you know, I point to Endgame. It had way more entries, way more baggage. Like, not as much time. It was a younger franchise, but that did it so well. It did it so well that, I mean, wrapping up 8 previous films in one film, I mean, there's no reason why you can't do it. But, yeah, no, there's no saving Rise of Skywalker. Yeah. I've thought about doing a punch-up video about the Rise of Skywalker. And I'm not trying to be difficult, but I drew a blank. I'm like, there is no... For me, the only way to make it a good movie is to kind of just change everything about it. Have you guys heard about the original episode 9? The Duel, like, the working title was Duel of the Fates. Like, I'm not gonna say it'd be a perfect film instead, but I so got the impression that whoever wrote that, was it Colin Trevorrow who wrote it? I know he was going to direct it, but anyway, you get the impression that the writer of that had actually watched episode 8, whereas I watched episode 9, or I watched The Rise of Skywalker, and I was like, whoever wrote this just did not watch episode 8 at all. With longer... Oh, sorry, I'm going to go back up a little bit. The Force Awakens trailer may be the best sequel film. You know, we kind of forget how awesome that trail, or the first couple of trailers were. Like, I remember exactly where I was when I first watched the teaser trailer and the first real trailer for The Force Awakens. Like, the possibility was endless, and whoever made those trailers honestly deserves a reward. And I think it's honestly because of those trailers that I think I rode the high of The Force Awakens as much as I did. I literally watched The Force Awakens episode 7 times. No. 7 times? 5 times. I watched it 5 times in the theater, which I could not do now. That's so much money. I think I watched The Last Jedi 3 times, but only because I just wasn't able to swing it that much more. And then episode 9 I watched once. And that was the first time I have watched a Star Wars film, and I actively disliked it while I was watching it. It's such a shame. Such a shame. Yeah, with longer seasons, they could afford to build sets and then use them for years. Yeah, I can see that. You know, with the short seasons, you get, like, what, 1 or 2 uses out of a set? That's a lot of wasted money. The problem with Rise of Skywalker is that Last Jedi provided a platform for the franchise to go anywhere. It's true. And instead, they rewound, and said, make another Return to the Jedi. Wrap this up. That is such a, I don't know. I might throw too much shade at J.J. Abrams, but I do feel like that's kind of the modus operandi of him. You know, whether that or Force Awakens or Star Trek. I don't know. You know, especially with his definition of Star Wars is the specific pieces. There has to be a rebellion. There has to be a space laser. There has to whatever. And I think it was the chronic turning back of the clock and resetting things to, like, no, it has to be just like this. I don't know. I find it uninspiring and just not fun to watch. And, like, he makes good roller coasters, but there's not much under there. Like, I gotta give him credit. You know, I liked Mission Impossible 3. That was awesome. I did really, really like Star Trek, his first one, when I watched it. But it has to be said, I was not a Star Trek fan. And he went out of his way to say he did not make it for Star Trek fans. And it is true that Star Trek fans, at the time, did not care for it. Like, it was like rock and roll. And Star Trek is more like classical. You know, he went out of his way to make it something else entirely.
Ladies and gentlemen, draw
I think
your
that
eyes
is...
to the center ring.
I could go on for hours about just kind of how I think their approach to filmmaking is utterly wrong and misses the point. But anyway, you watched Rise of Skywalker a second time to make sure your Attack of the Clones was still the worst. So yeah, do you think Attack of the Clones is still worst? I would... Man, to me, Rise of Skywalker is the worst. Which is crazy. Like, the sequel trilogy has my favorite, and my, I'm not gonna say hated, let's say least appreciated film of the whole saga. I feel like at least Attack of the Clones, like I kind of said before, it has the bones of something really, really cool, and George Lucas had a lot on his mind when he was writing. It's just that I don't think he necessarily... I don't know how to phrase this. I don't know. He just didn't get it down. Last Jedi is a little weird for you, Indigo. You get thrilled every time you watch it, but you leave disappointed, really. Yeah, the Luke treatment. At least, you know, there's a lot of critique of The Last Jedi I disagree with. A ton. But I can at least understand people who were disappointed by Luke's portrayal. You know what I mean? I happen to appreciate what Rian Johnson was doing. He, like, treating Luke the way he did. Like, he made him not an OP, super cool, you know, like, he's, like, Luke continues to be, like, a three-dimensional person. And you don't stop growing or having problems and doubts after you turn 22. I think especially being, like, having a couple of years, like, me being the age I am, I can definitely understand that, you know, like, once you become an adult, you don't have all the answers, and you never will. And that's Luke, you know, he feels real to me. But at the same time, you can't not write Luke for the sequel trilogy and ignore the expectations, I will say. There's a lot of weight there. And it is kind of crazy to be shocked that people did not feel good about it, if that makes sense. Yeah. But you're really excited for what episode 9 could be, and then it ruined everything. Yeah. I gave JJ the benefit of the doubt when he was announced as the director. You know, I mean, he really was given so much, like a great canvas to a canvas to add to. And then he did not seem crazy interested in it, which I know people label Rian Johnson as doing, but I do think that there's a difference, whereas Johnson seemed to have a curiosity about where the story could go, whereas Abrams, to me at least, did not seem to have that curiosity. He had more of a formula in mind, which maybe I'm being a bit hard on him, because that was a crazy situation he was in. He didn't originally want to do it because, you know, Carrie Fisher was dead. Last Jedi was, you know, the fandom was doing what it was doing. A lot of pressure. I know Kathleen Kennedy wanted, or from what I hear, she wanted to split it in two. Couldn't get it. Couldn't move the release date. So I don't know. A lot of things going against him. So maybe he felt like he had to fall back on the formula and didn't have the luxury of being creative and exploring what the story could be. I don't know. Point is, well, we got,
Just what is your position with the
in a word, sucked. What really threw you on Force Awakens?
Not at all. I just
Didn't know whether Kylo Ren was supposed to be facially disfigured or not. Adam's driver's mouth is set at like a 15-degree. You know, it is kind of funny. When I first watched The Force Awakens 2, I didn't know what I was supposed to feel when he took his helmet off. Because
Don't get me wrong, it just seems odd
in that
some
moment,
party specifically
what you should do, I think as a writer, what you should set up is either, with a face reveal, it has to be, you know, a surprise of, oh, it's someone you know, it's someone who's horribly disfigured, or somebody who's really hot. And I think he was none of those things. To me, you know. He didn't look like, you know, like, he wasn't like Two-Face. We never seen him, so there's no reveal there. And so that leaves like, oh, he's supposed to be hot, but he didn't seem really hot. And even like Rey was, but Rey seemed like taken aback by him, and I couldn't really get in her head and be like, well, why is she reacting the way she is to him? Like, was she expecting like a disfigured guy? I don't know. That was a moment that kind of just didn't work for me. But the movie telegraphed it like it was, oh my gosh, look at this.
a long time ago.
Attack of the Clones is all-time champion worst? What? Oh, man. Well, I respect that opinion, for sure. It has redeeming qualities for me. I think that's, other than Revenge of the Sith, to me,
I have to expect
Attack of the Clones
just to be safe.
feels like it has the greatest difference between the beginning and the end. Like, so much happens. And it has an epic feel, albeit like an imperfect one. But somehow, to me, it does capture like an old-time epic film kind of thing.
It has nothing to do with
I
I don't trust anyone.
do like Obi-Wan, Dooku, and Jango.
No, I'm not
Yeah,
gonna discuss them, so
Obi-Wan,
keep our minds
minus his like fake beard in half of the movie, is awesome. I see a lot of growth in, like, honestly, when I'm watching it, I feel like 10 years have passed in between films, and a lot of that is the makeup and Ewan's acting. It's amazing. Yeah. Dooku, I feel like, was a little underbaked. Like, you listen to George Lucas's, like, him talking about him in the commentary,
All right. You're pretty damn tenacious.
and
You know
the
that?
thing he was, the things he was going for, I don't think necessarily came across on screen, but I feel like the potential was super there, super duper there. Would Sith Eyes have helped? Oh, you mean like with Kylo Ren? Oh yeah, definitely. Anything to make his appearance notable or arresting in some way would have been really cool. But as it is, he just seemed like this guy with a lot of really thick hair. Then, like, the real surprise of the Kylo Ren reveal was him not having hat hair. Yeah, like, his hair was amazing when he took off the helmet. That was really, I bet that was why Rey was like, oh my gosh, his hair is amazing. Three beefs with Last Jedi. Why didn't Leia belay Poe's order to attack? I guess, yeah. Yeah, because... I'll have to think about it again. I guess, yeah, like, in the movie, does she just kind of, like, you know, yell at him in the moment, but nothing else? I assume, yes, she would have had the authority to countermand him, and like, he could keep going and attack, but everyone else would have had to listen to her. Two, better if Rose saved Finn, because his impact would have come too late and no effect. Yeah, I'm torn on that too. I happen to land on appreciating the moment, because the lesson it's conveying to me is strong enough to kind of overpower the logistics of it, you know, like, well, if Finn, she did kind of screw up in terms of like Finn was going to destroy the laser and she stopped him, and now they're all gonna die. I feel like it's a little Spielbergian. Like, it's more emotionally it works, but then you break it down and then it falls apart. I think I happen to kind of appreciate the emotional aspect of it just enough to make it work. And then 3, easy to miss, kids force my move. Yeah, it is easy to miss, and that's a really small nitpick, right? I happen to not miss it, but you would think with something like that they would make have like a close up on the broom kid, like force pulling them off, you know. But yeah, other than that, such a good ending. Indigo, maybe she's attracted to ugly guys. She grew up in the desert. Yeah, she doesn't know what hot guys look like. Like, all she's ever seen is like whatever that guy that gives her portions is, and then like an old lady, and that's all she knows. And she's like, what is a man? What is that guy? Yeah, I know. Well, clearly she is, because, you know, their whole relationship in the sequel trilogy, you know, just look at that. She clearly appreciated something about him. Attack of the Clones was so bad it needed more Jar Jar. Nah, dude. I do respect George Lucas just for, like, he was like, oh, you all hated Jar Jar? Well, I'm going to make him more important in Attack of the Clones. He's going to actually be responsible for the rise of the Empire and making the Emperor.
Zelka isn't the only one
You
who
know.
wants to get his hands on the Rakghoul serum.
Like, if he was in charge of Lucasfilm, I feel like he would have, you know, given Rian Johnson Episode 9 after Last Jedi and been like, you know what, we're going to make 3 more films, and Rian Johnson's going to make all of them. And he's going to remake Episode 4. Revenge of the Sith was horribly scripted and acted, but the themes were so massive that thinking about the larger issues drowns out all the ham-handedness. I happen to
Oh, come on.
pretty much agree.
Everybody knows who Dan
Um,
Gang is.
Like,
The big boss around here.
I watched it when it
Gang
came back to
smuggling
theaters
extortion.
back in
He's
May,
a piece of all
right?
the action
May?
on Taris.
And I had a great time. I got nostalgic, and I was like, they literally don't make movies like this anymore. Which I heard adults say when I was a kid, and I was like, shut up, they're better now. But I think there is something to it. Like, they don't make them like that. And
you have to help yourself first.
it is so grand. Kind of what I was saying about the Rose and Finn thing. Like, what it's going for is strong enough to really override the clear problems with it. The writing, you know, it is bad. It's bad. The dialogue is, yeah. And the image in what Lucas was going for, his picture of what the movie is, I think was great enough, and just enough gets on to the film that it happens to make it a classic in a lot of people's minds. Yep.
How can I give you credits I don't have?
The acting, I will say, at least in Revenge of the Sith, is the strongest of the prequels, which, yeah, is not saying much. But I think, you know what I think? Hayden Christensen gets a lot of flack for his acting in Episode 3. But when you think about it, most of the main cast needed 3 films to get to that point of being pretty decent acting. At least as much as you could be. Like, Phantom Menace, nobody was good. Everybody sucked. Liam Neeson, Oscar winner. Right? Oscar winner? Is he? I don't know. Point is, sucked at it. Ewan McGregor, great actor. You know, I think more like after the fact, you know, it kind of mapped on what Obi-Wan as a character was supposed to be we modeled it on his acting, but it was really wooden. Attack of the Clones, a little bit better, but that's when Hayden comes on. So Hayden had 2 movies, everyone else had 3, so I think he never really got to that point where he could have gotten supernatural and knew how to act on a Lucas set. Because I think George Lucas is notoriously not an actor's director, which J.J. Abrams, to his credit, is. Like, he gets great performances out of his actors. I mean, his stories are not great, but the acting is always amazing. And Lucas is a bit of an inverse. So actors kind of have to find their way on their own, which is why I think he should have gotten like exclusively like theater actors, maybe. And maybe it could have helped with like the sets, which were all green screen, and you know what I mean? You're kind of used to that. And they're better, I think, at finding character and making decisions. I think. You know, that's just me. Sorry, let me catch up on this, on these comments really quickly. I'm getting a little long-winded. Yeah, Leia grooming Poe for leadership. Didn't want to undercut him. I could believe it. Would have been nice maybe if the movie said as much, or kind of maybe gestured more towards their relationship. Like, hey, I disagreed with you, but I'm going to let you do you, but that was irresponsible. The kids' Force move is so important because it means the Force is awakening throughout the galaxy. Oh, okay, yeah. In the lowliest of people, right. I mean, that goes towards the theme, right? Like, anybody could be a hero, definitely. Ryan establishes in Rey and the kid, a Force Master can be anyone. That's just, I don't know. That's good writing. It just is. Like, in a saga that is so, it revolves around one family, especially. I think it's pretty bold to go that route. And especially in the face of post episode 7, everyone was like, who is she, whatever. It's pretty cool that Johnson was like, she's nobody. When you're watching Attack of the Clones in the theater, the first indicator that this movie was going to suck was when a ripple of giggles ran through the crowd upon reading the name Dooku. Dooku is a bonkers name. I think we're just used to it. And you know what's funny is that, especially in listening to George Lucas talk about the character, he doesn't typically call him Dooku. He calls him Doku, which I think is actually a way better name. Like, he should have called him Doku, like D-O-K-U, rather than, like, I don't know if it's the double O's that he likes, like Dooku, Naboo, whatever, but, you know, I don't know. That is, but it shows you how a lot of Star Wars names are weird. We're like, that's dumb. But we can get used to anything, almost. If anything, when I saw it, people were laughing at the Yoda thing, at the fighting. And a friend of mine, you know, he said, he's like, it would have been so much less funny if, you know, they can keep the choreography, they keep it the way it is. Just don't have Yoda, like, doing the grunting and the screaming. You know, just literally have only the music and the lightsaber sounds. It'd be so much better. As it is now, yeah, he does sound so funny. Just, you know, it's just like jumping around. Episode 3 is greater than the sum of its parts. It definitely is. And that could be, like, you contrast that with, man, I feel like I'm bashing on him, on, like, Rise of Skywalker, which is, and The Force Awakens. It's so much less than the sum of its parts. Like beat to beat, moment to moment, the stuff is there. Like it's fine. But then like in the moment, like it's exciting. It's exciting. There's emotion there, but then you take the whole picture and you're like, well, that was a waste. And I think that's something you can't really teach in film school. How to make your film greater than the sum of its parts. You either have it or you don't. And for all of his issues, Lucas was able, in my opinion, every time, to make his movies greater than the sum of their parts. Liam Neeson was the perfect Jedi in The Phantom Menace. I loved his character too. The plot was... the plot... I mean, when you think about it, most plots, when you break them down, are pretty boring. Unless it's like, I don't know, Mission Impossible, you know, is a bomb, disarm the bomb. But, like, you take Aaron Brockovich, let's say. Oh, okay, there's like a factory, people get sick, and now it's about, like, corporate stuff, right? Corporate responsibility. That sounds boring. Sounds hecka boring. But the key was in the execution, right? And that's why it's a classic. Trade disputes. Well, you can't argue like that is more relevant nowadays. But there are ways to make trade disputes and politics exciting. Like you look at Game of Thrones. That was the biggest show, like in history, when it was on. And there was a lot of politics. It happened to have dismemberment and nudity and more blood, but it was a political show. Or like The West Wing, right? Jake Lloyd did pretty much everything the movie needed from him. Yeah, I feel bad for him. Like he really did. I think he did everything that Lucas asked from him, which, as we've established, when it comes to actors, I think he usually asks the wrong things from them. Like I saw it behind the scenes for Revenge of the Sith, and even I know the thing you don't do as a director is give your actor a line reading. Like tell them how they should act a line. And that's what Lucas was doing to Hayden Christensen. You know, he's like, oh, in the scene where he's like, I should be, I want more, and I know I shouldn't. Like he was telling him how to say it, when he should move, what he should move. That's something that you kind of allow an actor to figure out. Like give him like context, put him in the headspace, but not necessarily like just tell him how to act, right? And I think Lucas saw actors more as like puppets or things to mess with in post. I don't get the opinion, I don't get the feeling that he particularly cared for actors. I think he saw them kind of getting in the way. I have no proof for this, but that's just kind of my gut feeling. Qui-Gon has been your favorite since you saw the films. I mean, Qui-Gon was great. I wish there was more intent behind the acting. Like I wish Lucas did 1, maybe 2 films as a primer before starting the prequels. Maybe get more into the director headspace, work with actors again. Because it had been a long time since he had directed, right? Before that, was his last one like, I couldn't even tell you. Sometime in the 80s, I assume.
Slummy's just walking around the upper city.
Yeah, Sean. If there's one thing I love, it's something greater than the sum of its parts. You know what's greater than the sum of its parts? The sum of all fears. You know, that was Ben Affleck at his most sum of all parts. Right there. Chioda. pulled a Hemi. I did.
Come on, boys. This slummy's buying the next round.
Attack of the Clones. Attack of the Clone scene was the origin of Ketamine Yoda. That whole thing, yeah.
Yeah.
All I was missing was vehicular manslaughter in a 2000 Honda Civic. Yeah, for real. I wish we could get like a super special edition of that. How Game of Thrones should have ended for real. Dany takes King's Landing, has a conversation with Cersei about power, realizes she's becoming Cersei, decides to rule King's Landing alone beside the Six Kingdoms. You know, that would have been better than what we got. Frankly, you know, having all the characters stop and get a shawarma would have been a better ending than what we got. Like, I watched Game of Thrones after it was done, so I knew all about the controversy over the last season. Okay, like, it sucks, whatever. I knew that. So my expectations were already super low, and even then, I watched the last season, and I was still like, oh, this is garbage. Even with super low expectations, knowing what's going to happen, I was still so disappointed, and I was like, almost mad. Almost mad. Because it goes to my point earlier of like, oh, most things have the bones of a really good show, movie, but what they did with that last season, it was like, did you even read what you wrote for the past, what was it, like 6 or 7 years, you know? Like, so much character assassination and regression and just left hand turns. What a waste. What a waste. I think I've said, I don't know if this is even like a common opinion, it probably is, but I think oh, what's her name? Sansa? Hold on a second. Keyboard. Google search right here. What's Game of Thrones characters. Is it Sansa? The redheaded daughter? Yeah, Sansa. Sansa. I think she should have been queen. She should have gotten it. She went through such an arc from the beginning of the show to the end of the show. She become like a naive person who just gets traded around to marry people for alliances and stuff, and she didn't know what it means to be a leader. And by the time the show ends, she has become a leader. Like, yeah, they give her Winterhold, but I think her becoming, or her becoming queen of everything, getting the Iron Throne, makes so much more sense than her brother, who they gave it to just because he's like, what? He can't walk and he tells stories and he's weird because he sees the future. You know, that's strange. I think they just did that to throw people off, honestly. Yeah, can I imagine a better offer as a child actor than a young Darth Vader in a new Star Wars? Yeah. You know, I feel like the stardom that comes with Star Wars, being an actor in Star Wars, is such a, almost like a curse. It's like a Wheaties curse. You know, imagine how excited he was, and everyone around him was, you know, like, this is going to change everything. And it did. It seems like just for the worse. And same with Ahmed Best. You know, you think like because he was like a dancer, right? He wasn't even like an actor. And then you're like, oh my gosh, this opportunity is amazing. And then at what point do you think, at what point in the process do you think he said to himself, oh my god, this is not going to work. This is not going to go well. This is going to suck. Like, what have I done? You should have given this to Michael Jackson. Because I guess that was the thing. Michael Jackson wanted to be Jar Jar. Which, that would have been interesting. Like, what kind of movie would that have been? if Michael Jackson was Jar Jar Binks. I mean, like, it couldn't have hurt him anymore. You know, like, his reputation was already in the tank. Your Anakin Skywalker would have been an actor the same age as Hayden Christensen, who recently acted in a play with Hayden. Jake Gyllenhaal. You know, Jake Gyllenhaal is so good. That would have been amazing. Although, as we've said, you know, Liam Neeson somehow was super wooden in his film, and like Natalie Portman was great. Ian McDermott did pretty good. He did actually very good in all of his films. But I think just because, I don't know, how would Gyllenhaal have done as Anakin in Episode 2? Like, how would Leonardo DiCaprio have done? You know, these great actors, would they have had the same career that would have allowed them to become amazing actors if they had been Anakin? You know, it's kind of like that SNL phenomenon. Like, they passed over so many great actors and comedians for SNL who went on to have great careers. But then it's like, well, if they had been on SNL, would they have had great careers and been legends? Or would they have just been like, oh, another cast member? You know what I mean? Now, Gyllenhaal, I want to live in a world where, or at least peek at a universe where he was cast as Peter Parker in Spider-Man 2. Because that almost happened. That would have been super fascinating. Game of Thrones started to suck immediately after they ran out of, source material. Yes, I kind of agree. Because, yeah, when the Dothraki got on the boats to go to Westeros, yeah, the writers switched to Tolkien-style fantasy after that. Yeah, it kind of is amazing, the difference. I happen to think they, I don't know, it had a little bit of steam after that. For me, and I forget the order of events. It was a little while ago that I watched it, but was that before or after Jon Snow gets stabbed and then resurrected? Because for me, that's when I really started to come off the rails and was like, okay, this show has kind of jumped the shark. Was when they resurrected Jon Snow. What are we, some Game of Thrones? Wait, say that again. Cut to black. After co-directing Return of the Jedi, Lucas was second unit director in Radioland Murders, 1994. So, okay, I have more questions. I know Radioland didn't work out. That kind of flopped, which is a shame. But, so he was second unit? For me, it seems like he'd be like, that'd be a little bit small beans. Was he producing it? He must have been. But he wanted to direct, I guess. I feel like I'm gonna die. Maybe I won't. No. It's amazing how well I actually am multitasking this RPG while I talk and read and stuff. It kind of just shows you how much I've played this game. I originally planned on kind of breaking down like the story of this game more as we play, but I'm just having a good time just talking like this. Michael Jackson has been rumored to have supposed to play every role in Hollywood. No kidding. He circled so many other roles. I feel like he must have, like, ever since The Wiz, he was like, I want all of this all the time. I want to play everything. But somehow he just never, he wanted to be that leading man, and it never happened. Michael Jackson in The Departed as Martin Sheen's character. You know what? I would not be surprised though if Michael Jackson had a stipulation in his contract that he cannot die on screen. Like, they would have tossed him, like, you know, spoiler alert for The Departed, but they would have tossed him off the edge of the building, and he falls like, 10 stories, and he would have just landed on his feet and moonwalked away. You hear the hee, and Leo's like, oh my god. Oh no.
Want to go inside and speak to Gaddon. He's a hero of the common folk. But the days of the Hidden Beck's open door policy between the Sith.
The Departed was one of those movies that it took me so long to watch, and everyone was like, oh gosh, you have to watch this, it is amazing. I'm like, well, how good could it be? That one didn't disappoint. If you haven't seen it, I recommend it. Same with There Will Be Blood. Oh, he was EP on Radioland. That makes sense. Okay, so it makes sense. He wanted to direct, probably. Well, my impression is he's a very hands-on producer anyway. So he probably figured, like, well, I want to get into some kind of director's chair. Have some actual day-to-day control. Would I be interested in getting a BTM reviews livestream? I'm not familiar. Probably, honestly. You're on there every now and then for movie nights, and when they feature my comic book reviews. Oh, heck yeah, I would, Mike. Yeah. I'll have to check out BTM reviews actually. I actually did not know you do reviews, Mike. What is your channel just like your name? I'm subscribing to BTM reviews right now, actually. That's why my character's not moving. Departed really brings out the charm of casual intercontinental European racism. Yeah, because isn't that a big thing? Like, is there a lot of anti-Irish stuff in there? I know there's a lot of obnoxious, over-the-top, like, Boston accents, which is both, like, hilarious and awful. Okay. Italians and Irish, yeah. Oh, those dang Italians and Irish. Oh, mainly on comic book reviews for comics in the independent crowdfunding space. Oh, dude, sick. Okay. Rippaverse, Comicsgate, and others. So not Marvel and DC. I mean, I'm sure they're doing fine enough. Yeah. I feel like I'm guilty of even only thinking about them. Like thinking like they're the only two options in the comic book space. But there's so much more. So I think, yeah, we're definitely better served bringing attention to other ones. Well, at any point, you have another subscriber. There you go. Sweet. That was awesome. Peace out, Sean. This here with Callow. Excuse me. Getting a drink or something. I don't know if y'all have played this or not, honestly, but this Callow part, a little bit similar to the Kylo Ren reveal. When I played this for a long time after, I had a hard time actually being like, so is it a joke he's so short? Is that the joke? Because he happens to be really short, but I don't think they ever comment on it or really draw too much attention to it. Like there's an angle coming up here. Hello. Like right there. That's on purpose. I mean, come on. I don't know. Smart. Latest review is for Ethan Van Sheever, I'm gonna assume. Cyberfrog Dark Harvest. See, now that's a title that you can get into. I've stepped up your editing game. Think about CapCut. I use, at first I used DaVinci Resolve for my videos. I have not used CapCut, so I can't speak to that. I've heard it's I've heard it's good, but from my experience, DaVinci Resolve is awesome. It's super free. It does anything you could ever want of it and more. But now I use Adobe Premiere, and I only use it because I just happen to get a free license to the Creative Cloud through my job. So if I didn't have that, I would be using probably Resolve still. But yeah. Premiere, you know what's funny? Between Premiere and Resolve, I feel like Resolve is actually a better value. It's more user-friendly, I will say that much. And Premiere has, like, it's great. And what's nice about it is how it connects with the other parts of the Creative Cloud. But dang, it has some odd quirks. So yeah, I've used Resolve and Premiere. Editing, man, that just takes forever, man. Like, I definitely understand why, you know, people on YouTube, once they are able to, they outsource that. Because if I had an editor, I feel like I would put out a video like once a week. But as it is, it's like once a month. Like even after, like with this with the Marvel chronological thing, I was like, I'm going to be on it. I'm not going to wait like 2 months in between videos. I want these to get out at a good clip. But even then, it's taking forever because I write it. Yeah, I'm a one-man show. Like, I write all the scripts, I watch all the videos, or all the movies. I gather, namely, I screen capture all of the films on my computer to use, and cut it all together. So, man, that is, it takes a lot of time. So good for you, man, for stepping up your editing. Definitely is not for the faint of heart.
We just kind of fell in together. It ain't easy on your own here in the lower city. Everyone's always looking to
I want to learn more about After Effects. Like, I've used it in passing, but definitely not enough to really, you know, wow anybody with it. Does the free version of DaVinci Resolve have audio crackle reduction? You know what? When I was using it, I don't think it did. But that was a good few years ago. So for all I know, it might have it now. Premiere, I will say, does have a very good voice enhance feature, which will like almost cut out all crackles or hummings or wind noises. I think that's AI powered, and to me that's actually a good use of AI right there. Like, that's kind of really changed things. Oh, you discovered the first MCU Chrono video, then watched everything else? Right on, man. Nice, nice. I was very surprised that that one kind of took off as much as it did. Like I said earlier, I'm not a big channel, right? So I'm not pulling down like, 50,000 views or nothing. But for me, that took off really well. And that was a video that I didn't expect much from, to be honest. Like, I don't feel like I put a ton of effort into it. And it was an idea that I had lying around, but I was like, oh, whatever,
Fair enough.
And I was almost kind of ready to be like, well, if this doesn't work out, I might give it one more video, then I might give up, And then it took off. And then for some reason, MCU Chrono 2 kind of died on the vine. Which, it happens. At this point, I need to finish it up, right? I can't just leave it at phase 2. So I'm gonna finish phase 3, probably put do like a I'm gonna die. A big version, you know, stitch them all together, put that out maybe, and then just move on to other stuff. Oh, shoot. Okay, do this again. I'm thinking of following up, because this is a lot of Marvel to watch, and I kind of want to maybe stray away from like superhero stuff for my next video or two. I'm considering either like movies and shows that are more relevant now than when they came out, and I'm considering like what was it called? Movies that should have ended 3 minutes earlier. 3 minutes earlier, and I was inspired by 28 years later. So yeah. So if you get, actually, let me pick your brains for a second. Can you think of any movies that should have ended 3 minutes earlier? Or can you think of any shows or movies that are more relevant now than they came out? I have like 2 or 3 ideas for each of those, but I could always kind of use more. Like in terms of like movies that, or a show that's more relevant now, I'd say like Mad Men, 100%. Like I'm watching that again now, and I feel like it speaks to a lot of things going on now. A lot of attitudes, a lot of nostalgia for the 60s, stuff like that. Anyway, does the free version... Oh, I read that already. The one thing you'd love to have in your video editing platform is a feature where I can say, reduce any segment without audio that's longer than however many seconds to exactly this many seconds. You know, and that, hey, that's another like potential AI thing, right? Perfect. But instead, you know, we're using AI for, hey, let's have it take this guy's job. You know, let's have AI create a, you know, a weird looking picture for marketing, or like a dumb commercial for Coke. You know, definitely that'd be a really good one actually. Well, thanks, Indigo. Yeah, I have another idea of like great, like a video about like great emotional performances. I don't know how to really make that interesting to watch, but I'm kind of fascinated with performances from actors in emotional scenes, because we've all seen scenes where actors, they're crying, but they're kind of more having it out, and it doesn't feel right. It feels meh, you know? And then we've seen those scenes where actors are just nailing it. And for me, I feel like the good ones are when an actor is not, or when an actor is trying to seem like they're not trying to cry. I feel like those are the most powerful ones. Like the end of 1917, Ehrmantraut's monologue about his son in Better Call Saul, stuff like that. I kind of want to do a video about that, but I don't know how, for one, to make it interesting to watch for your typical person, you know, like who thinks about that, and then two, how do you actually make it fit to watch on YouTube without getting demonetized, right? Because you can't just play these long, unedited clips of movies and shows. But you kind of need to make it work. And like with my Western video, whenever the characters spoke, I would just like blur it out and put the dialogue on text on screen, right? But you can't really do that for like a scene where you're meant to see the actor's performance while they're talking. So that's just kind of an obstacle I need to figure out.
I'm someone you don't want to get on the bad side of. And I'm not one for small talk. I don't have time to stick around here anyway.
An idea
Not until
of
a special assignment.
a movie that should have ended 3 minutes earlier, other than 28 years later. I don't know if y'all seen that, but if you have, you know what I'm talking about. Is Lincoln. I feel like giving y'all a little, sneak preview of my next videos, but I feel like if Lincoln, the movie ended like right as he's heading off to the theater, it would have been great, right? Like we all know what's gonna happen there. I don't think we need to put a hat on a hat and actually show, the night that he dies or gets shot. It feels like they had that in there just because, oh well, that's what Lincoln does, right? He dies. But I think to end on a hopeful note, even though you know what's going to happen like an hour later, I think would be very poignant. Like he accomplished this amazingly good thing, and he doesn't even really get to relish it. Yeah.
Hold on there, civilian. Only those with official Sith business are allowed into the Undercity. Unless you've got the proper security papers, you can't. Not unless... Good.
Go.
I don't have
Okay.
time for this foolishness.
I remember, this is kind of random, but I'm going through Baldur's Gate 3 again, which that's like taken over my life, but it's my second playthrough, and I think the only game that gives me the same, or has ever given me the same feeling as playing this for the first time was Baldur's Gate 3.
There's a bounty on your little green heads. I'm here to
I don't know if you guys have ever seen what is it? Was it Modern Marvels? Back in the day on History Channel,
That's the plan.
the voice of Calo Nord, I'm pretty sure was the narrator on that show. It's a really random. Okay, so here's that angle. It features his right there. Like it totally. You cannot tell me that they're not trying to tell you or show you how short he is. But oddly enough, they do not make a meal of it. I feel like if they meet this now, like modern BioWare would, I don't know, definitely would not do that. They're like, what's wrong with being short? I'm not gonna shame him for being short. Yeah, Mike, I do have an email just for public consumption. Give me it's actually, hold on a second. Watch my character just do mythic on screen for a second. Oh, hold on a second, actually. Let him fight. The nice thing about this combat system is it can actually run itself for a second. Okay. Give me 1 second. I have a Tough Martin email, but I use it honestly so rarely because I haven't had to, that I need to double check what it is for sure. 1 second. Okay, I got it. I'm just gonna put it in chat, honestly. Nothing crazy. It's just the Tough Martin at gmail.com. Nice. The this is really random, but the last person I gave that email out to was a an Uber driver in Uzbekistan. Me and my friend were taking an Uber. What was it, like a month ago, maybe? I don't know. And in our broken died within 7 days. Oh, sorry, I'm not sure what you mean by that actually. But anyway, I lost my train of thought. Oh yeah, so my friend and I were in an Uber in Uzbekistan. Oh, the last person I gave this to died in 7 days. Yeah, I know. It's the ring. But yeah, so we were in the car and in kind of like Google Translate going back and forth. I don't know why. I think because we were American, he assumes we have like connections in Hollywood, or we just know people who make movies. And so he's like, "Can I give you my script, to read or help me work on it or like get it done?" And it was like, "Yeah, I'll take it." And I could try to kind of convey that I'm not a mover or a shaker, but like I have just the same aspirations. I don't know if he kind of got that or not, but he sent it to me. I read it. I thought it was really good, actually. Yeah. I wonder if all the post-Endgame films, shows are really as terrible as people feel, or if their biggest issue was scheduling. I think it's a little bit of both, honestly, because you need time to reset, right? Like as an audience member. That's why I like especially if you're going to pivot to like another saga, you can't just keep going, right? You have to give the audience time to reset and recalibrate. And Endgame was such a high that I don't think no beginning could capture the feeling and the high of an amazing end. Which Endgame, I maintain, I think was probably the perfect ending to almost any series. And so they definitely shot themselves in the foot. Hardcore. For sure. I died again. I might switch over to easy mode. I kind of tend to anyway, but especially while I'm multitasking. Right. Phases 1 through 3 were so well scheduled that you knew what character was important. You saw them almost every year. Definitely. With Doomsday coming, what would have been the best order to release everything? Now that is a good question. Oh jeez, I feel like I need to watch all these movies now to actually answer that question. I think it can only do it so well with the movies only being as good as they are. Like, I know it's easy to say like, oh, MCU sucks now, but it definitely doesn't have that same quality as it used to. So I think we can only go so far with release order, but because obviously we haven't seen Doomsday yet, so it might make sense. But with the Infinity Saga, you had Thanos coming in and out of it, right? Like, he wasn't ever the main player, but he was a presence, right? And then when we saw Infinity War, it was like, oh my gosh, like finally, this guy's like on the field. Whereas with Doomsday, the culmination of this saga is going to be the first time we even see the big baddie. And I think they missed a ton of opportunity to actually set him up, right? So I think as weak as Kang was, and as much as people maybe were not connecting with him, I think the best choice would have been just to
You
recast
guys are behind
Kang
with your payments.
and just
You think just
do
'cause
the
you're in
Kang
some
dynasty.
gang,
At least
you
there's
don't
a
have to
sense
give
of
Gavin his
continuity
cut?
in building to something, rather than it feels like we kind of dilly-dallied in the multiverse, and then it's going to culminate in this kind of random Tony variant. Well, I assume it's a Tony variant. For all I know, it's like he just looks like him, you know.
Ah, so you want to play this the hard way?
I know they have the Russos coming back to direct. And I think that alone gives me any shred of faith that Doomsday could be good. But other than that, I think it's precarious. Like, I have more faith in the DCU being awesome than the MCU reclaiming its glory. Yeah, Jonathan Majors' self-destruction.
Too bad. I was
Dude.
looking forward
Yeah,
to
I don't know what they planned either
Maybe next
for
time.
King Dynasty, but
Get this over to
um,
Derek. I'll call you if anyone else.
at least you would have had that continuity. And I imagine they would have had some plan to make it really cool. Like,
Those
as-
vipers are dumber than a Coruscant granite
yeah.
slug. They actually
As,
think being that
from what I
professional
understand, as
gambler
messed up
is
his
ultimate
personal
goal.
life
Gaddon
is,
keeps his hidden becks in line.
Jonathan Majors
Rezik's getting
at
dreams
least
of
is a
grandeur.
gifted actor and
If
has
Davic's smart, he'll slap
a
that
good
young
presence
humpback down.
about him, I think.
I'm someone you don't want
And
to get on the
I'm
bad
not a
side.
fan of
And I'm
this,
not one for small talk.
I think,
I don't have time to
fairly
stick around here anyway.
newish
Davic's gonna be
phenomenon
working on a
of
special
actors
assignment.
owning roles. Like, it used to be, like if an actor defined a role, that was theirs. And if they died, you recast it. Or, I mean, like, if they died, you didn't recast it. The character died. Like, you know, your, Princess Leia, Indiana Jones, whatever. But not, like, Black Panther, you know, if it was me, I would have recast it, maybe. But Jonathan Majors as Kang. Kang is not a beloved character. Like, they recast Rhodey, who was way more beloved and cool than Kang was, or Kang is. So they could have easily recast him. I think they just got cold feet. After Endgame, a low-stakes Avengers film, making a new team should have been done before a lot of the stuff they put out. I agree. Isn't it crazy? So, is Doomsday and Secret Wars, are those two, like, the end of the multiverse saga? I think. Correct me if I'm wrong, but, I think it is. And if it is, it's crazy how Infinity Saga had two or three Avengers films before it all wrapped up with Endgame, right? They were kind of sprinkled throughout this saga. Whereas, like, the Multiverse Saga will have had none except for, like, two at the end. You know? So I totally agree that they should have had, like, a smaller Avengers films about definitely, like, reforging a new team, you know? Also points if you realized without a movie poster's help, which I needed, that Quantumania contains Ant-Man, i.e. Quantumania. Hold on a second. Hold on. I need to look at this poster. Okay, we're gonna switch over here. Okay. Huh. Quant. Ant-Humania. I guess. You know, like, seeing that is kind of like seeing the arrow in the FedEx logo. Like, you can't not see it now. And you're like, well, I don't know how I didn't see it before, and I can't unsee it. It seems so on the nose. Antimania. Wow. I need to watch that one actually. Well, I don't need to watch it. I feel like it wouldn't affect my life at all. But that is one I need. I could still watch. I've not seen it yet. I think, like I said before, I've not seen, I think, most of the Multiverse Saga. I saw Falcon and Winter Soldier, which I did like. With Rhodey, it was a money issue. That's my impression, which is a shame because, well, no, I take it back. Terrence Howard is crazy. And it's okay that he's not Rhodes anymore. I would have liked to either see him continue as Rhodes or had them start with Don Cheadle. You know, just for the continuity. But my point is, I guess, they recast Rhodes and he worked out fine, you know. And they recast Hulk. They did. And a similar deal to me. Or similar deal there for me was I wish they had kind of continued with Edward Norton. Because as I like Mark Ruffalo as an actor a lot, but for some reason as Bruce Banner, I clicked with Edward Norton a lot more. He seemed more like a scientist to me. That's just me though. Like there's something about Mark Ruffalo. This is gonna seem a lot meaner than I mean, but something about him just doesn't seem. It just doesn't ring. You don't think of like, oh, this guy's super smart. When, I don't know, maybe it's his voice or something. I don't know, but I don't know. With Bruce Banner, it doesn't play well with others problem. Yeah, Edward Norton was notoriously, from what I understand, kind of hard to work with. He had a lot of creative input on the film, from what I understand too. My impression was he must not have really grasped what the MCU was supposed to be, you know? Like you can't have that kind of push and pull on a movie if it's going to be like part of this big old, you know, tapestry. You know, you can only go off the rails so much. I think they showed it at the end of the movie credits. Oh, do they? Oh, you mean the Ant-Man thing, the Quantumania thing? Hold on a second. I'm gonna assume that's what you mean. That's the credits you're hearing. I will say, one thing that's kind of nice about Marvel stuff, even now, is their end credits are pretty cool. Oh, look at that. Bruh. I feel like when they came up with that title, or there was somebody in the room that was like, you know what we can do with Quantumania? They're like, we're geniuses. And the A looks like the Avengers A. Oh my gosh. Huh, right on. But yeah, Marvel has good credit sequences, even still, I will say. Like, some of them you want to be like backgrounds and wallpapers.
Well, we do need all the help.
I liked Ant-Man 3, except for the fact that Evangeline Lilly takes a backseat to Michelle Pfeiffer. So I haven't seen it, so I can't comment. I will say, the world needs more Evangeline Lilly on screen, in general, for everything. So if she takes a backseat to Michelle Pfeiffer, that's a problem. And that's a fact. Iron Man 2, first. You saw Iron Man 2 for the first time yesterday. Congratulations. actually now like Don Cheadle more than Terrence Howard. Yeah, they definitely occupy different
Just remember to be on your best
lanes.
behavior.
I think
The hidden
Don
becks are
Cheadle
watching you.
kind of inhabits the
Go in and speak to
straight-laced, kind of tie-dye military man better than Terrence Howard. And Terrence Howard, to me, he kind of gets the friend of Tony thing right. I don't know, maybe not. But yeah, I warmed up to him eventually. For the first time, I wonder, like, how do you see Iron Man 2 now? Like, do you like it? With all the other films you've seen? Or is it kind of weaker? I go back and forth on it. When I first saw it, I thought it was really good. And in the subsequent years, I was like, oh, this kind of really sucks. But then watching it for the chronologic, I came back around a little bit more on it.
That's the plan.
Terrence Howard was closer to the comics version. Rhodey has a smoldering "I'm so tired of your crap, Tony" element in the comics that Howard could bring off. Right on. He definitely did. He definitely did seem like he was always disappointed in Tony, but never surprised. And I feel like that's a job for AI too. Let's have somebody put Terrence Howard in some Don Cheadle scenes, like some Civil War scenes, just to see what that would look like. And have him explain his Terrence Howard math as he's fighting, and how like 2 + 2 = 3 or 1. Have you guys seen that? It's bonkers. The guy is like kind of off the deep end. I mean, in the best way, though. I didn't watch Secret Invasion, but I did hear how Rhodey has been a Skrull basically since after Civil War. And, like, I don't plan on bringing it up in the video, but for Chronologic 3, I mean, like, knowing he's not actually Rhodes the whole time after Civil War, that kind of really undercuts things. That's kind of a real problem. Oh man, bringing Liv Tyler back would have been pretty great. I don't know. Was it? I wonder if they asked her back, or I wonder if she just wasn't interested before then. But honestly, dude, I would have rather have had her back than Natalie Portman. She's awesome. She's great. I just don't love Jane and Thor. Like, nothing about their relationship makes sense to me. Whereas, like, Betty and Bruce, I feel like that makes so... There's so much more there, you know? There's more chemistry, for one. At least between Edward Norton and Liv Tyler. I think, but they have so much more reason to be together and care about each other. So it is such a shame that Betty just never really came back again. Other than Brave New World, which, speaking of sucky movies, that was such a shame. Iron Man 2 has the inventing a new element problem. Yes, it does. It's not an element, or it's an element not found on this earth. Sit down, science person, you're drunk. Yeah. Like, I don't think that's how elements work. Yeah. I made the connection way later that, like, it's based off of the Tesseract, right? Like the Tesseract helps him create that new element, right? Or am I wrong? If it is, at least that angle is kind of cool, right? Like, at least he did have help from this like super unknowable thing, right? Still doesn't make sense. Just creating a new element, but there you go. What I was really disappointed by with Iron Man was how like he has this amazing arc in Iron Man 3, which is now my favorite Iron Man film. He's this great arc. He actually grows, he learns, he comes to terms with himself, and then it's totally undone by Age of Ultron, right? Turns out he can't help himself. And all Iron Man 3 is basically rendered moot by the next film. Captain America 4 was actually pretty great. Okay, I respect your opinion. I wish William Hurt had lived to finish Ross's arc too. I definitely do. But yeah, if you're going to recast him, do Harrison Ford. You know, he did awesome. Totally the best you could do in that situation. I agree. I wish William Hurt had lived. I like Mackie as Cap. I will say, I don't think they necessarily know how to use him personally. I think there's so much there. Like he spends all of his time feeling, or like being told he's not Steve, feeling bad for not being Steve, and less time actually showing us, you know, how he's different. Like he has, you know, inspiring speeches and stuff, but I don't know. I need time to crystallize this thought, but something about it's just not profound. You know, I think the writers are still figuring out what to do with Sam. Like, what makes Sam Captain America? And there's so much to be mined there. Like America now is different from America in 1945, and there's so much strength in beauty that a new Captain America can bring out. Right? Cap should bring us back to the better angels of our nature, right? And that's what Sam should do. But frankly, I think a lot of writers either don't have the time to make it work, or are kind of too cynical to make it work. Iron Man 2 was fine. RDJ was great. He is great. Justin Hammer was weird. I agree with you. I think they based him on like a joke. What if Tony was lame, essentially? And then they didn't, you know, build him out further from there. The arcs and plot around the villains weren't great. I kind of agree. Like, the shades were there. But not necessarily, they weren't fleshed out as well as they could have. It was fine. Yeah. It'll make Tony and Pepper better for your next Avengers watch. I think Tony and Pepper, more than Peggy and Steve, are kind of the anchor couple of the saga. Jim, good to see you. Good to see us. Sorry if I've missed any comments of yours up to this point. Characters regressing because they don't want to or plan for changes in one thing is a problem that's plagued the MCU. Yeah, the same thing happened again with WandaVision in Multiverse of Madness. I saw WandaVision. I did not see Multiverse of Madness, but I know she's, you know, the main baddie, and I've heard that she seemed... Well, the writers for Multiverse of Madness, didn't they start writing that before WandaVision was actually finished? Like, they didn't actually have the fully completed WandaVision before they made... before they wrote Multiverse of Madness? Because if so, that explains a lot of contradictory stuff, and that is such a shame. that happens. The one bad thing about Cap 4 is that it depends on Eternals to set the stage. And Eternals is so freaking bad. The running joke, we're friends from college, should have been a real plot. Yeah. I have not seen the Eternals, but I've heard really bad things. I've heard it being called like the worst movie ever of the MCU. And I've heard people say like, oh, it's not that bad. It was just, I don't know, underwhelming. I think the idea is cool. But it probably is telling that we have not seen any of them since. Like we saw the well, I guess in Cap 4 the Celestial, is that what it is, in the ocean where they find the adamantium? Like that's from the Eternals, but that's the only thing to come back since that film. Which, okay, it's cool that, oh, we have adamantium now, but that seemed like an odd basis to call this movie Brave New World. Oh, well, you know, we have another super strong metal. This doesn't really quite change everything. Yeah. Gosh, now you got me thinking about Cap 4 Brave New World. That's such a... I'm glad you like it, Mike. I did it. It was cool in that it was like a pseudo sequel to the Hulk. You know, you had the leader kind of come back, and Ross was back. But the leader should have been, I don't know. I thought it was kind of funny how he kept showing up everywhere, seemingly like teleporting to the next scene wherever he needed to be, or wanted to be for that matter. You know, it got to the point where it was kind of funny. Justin Hammer is basically the only villain they didn't kill off in their first film appearance. Yeah, you're right. I don't know if or how they could use him now. Imagine him in a Ironheart season 2 or Arm. Do you think there's going to be an Ironheart season 2? I haven't seen it, but I've heard it's not landing well. And from what I've heard, I can kind of see why. Only in terms of like, it seems to devalue Tony's accomplishments in favor of making Riri cool. They could totally bring Justin Hammer back. At least for Armor Wars, I like thematically he goes with it, and like what does Hammer do in a world without Tony anymore? Like I would assume, hey, maybe he's like on parole, he's out of jail, something like that. Like the field is clear, you know. Pepper, let's say, she's taking a back seat at Stark Enterprises. Tony's gone. It's kind of like Apple without Steve Jobs. You know, like does it decline after that? And what does Justin Hammer do in that scenario? You know, I think there's stuff to be mined there. And oh shoot, what's his name? The actor plays him. I keep wanting to say Guy, but that's his character in Galaxy Quest. That actor's amazing, and I'll watch him in anything. Alright. Okay. Alright, y'all. I'm probably going to call it here. I was kind of anticipating this being a bit of a shorter kind of stream anyway. It was a lot longer than I was worried it was going to be, you know, because when I started there was like literally nobody here. So I was kind of really sad for a second there. I was worried it was going to be like a 10-minute stream. But dude, no, you guys have been awesome. Thank you for joining me for sure. Like, you know, Mike, Indigo, Jim, Sean. I know you're gone, but still, Mari. Yeah, you guys are awesome. Hope you guys have a good one. I'll try this again. This was fun, actually. Next time, maybe I'll take a poll on what you guys wanna do on stream, what you want to play or like kind of watch or do or something. But it was cool just to chat with y'all. You're gonna head out, Mike. BTM Reviews has a live stream about every night. Oh, really? Okay, I'll check him out. We'll try to get on tomorrow. Let them know about your channel. Oh, dude, thanks. Thanks for the shout out. You know, like, no worries, no pressure or nothing, but no, I appreciate the shout out. Get to play one of my early videos. Oh, dude, my early videos, I'm so self-conscious about those. Like, my first one, somehow, I don't know why it got the most traction, but that's the one I'm more, I'm super self-conscious about that, because that's the one I feel like is the most rough. It's got no music, all that stuff, but yeah, I think it's kind of funny that that's the one that caught on the most. Hey, Indigo, yeah, oh yeah, sorry, I'm not throwing shade or nothing. Yeah, you got here when you could. I appreciate you just being here at all, you know, thanks, yeah. I almost didn't get the stream going. This is my first time actually, you know, streaming with OBS, and so I had the splash screen going for like 10 minutes before I realized it wasn't actually streaming. So I almost did this whole thing without actually going live. So that would have sucked. Yeah. Attack the Clones you found first. Yeah, that's a good one, I think. I would change a bit of the writing, honestly. A lot of my videos, if I could change anything, it'd be the writing, you know. Like, oh, I didn't clear that enough. I didn't say that clear enough or whatever, you know. But yeah. Jim, have fun watching part 2. Hope you like it. Part 3 of Chronologic should be out. Hopefully I'll finish that up next week for you. But yeah, I'm looking forward to having it done for sure. The algorithm never showed it to you? Well, it didn't show it to anybody. That video died. It has like 100 videos or 100 views, I think. So I don't know. I don't know if it's the thumbnail or the title or something. But yeah, I hope you like it. Share if you like it, you know, get some eyes on it, give it a thumbs up, grab a like. But anyway, guys, again, thank you for joining me. Have a good evening wherever you are. We'll see you again. And yeah, stop by again sometime.